The debate was last night, a lot going on, and Senator and presidential candidate Kamala Harris has actually changed her tune a little bit on a major issue from last night's debate. She now says she does not support abolishing private health insurance in the United States, saying she misheard a question from NBC's moderators about Medicare-for-all during the presidential debate. And take a listen, because if you'll remember what happened, Lester Holt asked a question and a few answered.
Senator, on healthcare last night, you were asked to raise your hands, the entire panel, 10 of you, if you believe eliminating private insurance should be part of the Medicare-for-all proposal. You and Bernie Sanders both raised your hands. You've been asked and sort of clarified this question a couple of times over the course of the campaign. So once and for all, do you believe that private insurance should be eliminated in this country?
No.
You don't?
No, I do not.
But you raised your hand last night.
But the question was, would you give up your private insurance for that option? And I said yes.
Oh, I think you heard it differently than others then.
Probably, because that's what I heard.
Yeah, so she says that's what she heard. She heard it differently. We'll get into that in a second. But first, I want you to see the question, or hear it, excuse me. I want you to watch and hear the question directly from Lester Holt and watch the reactions.
Who here would abolish their private health insurance in favor of a government-run plan? Yeah. All right.
Okay, so Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden, awkwardly, I guess it could be technically seen as raising his hand. That happened at the end. Yeah. So that's what happened. And you heard her answer and her explaining, clarifying this morning. And I was talking to John Iadarola about this, and he said that he sort of understood the question was confusing. Not necessarily talking about her answer, but just the question may have been seen as confusing or could have been clearer, because I guess one could say there's a difference between would you personally abolish your own personal health insurance for Medicare for all compared to would you abolish it for everyone? I think for me, the word abolish doesn't sound like something you would just do in your own personhood.
Right.
Abolish sounds like
definitely.
A law.
It sounds official. It definitely sounds official. And not only that, when they asked her to clarify her stance, she at the end said probably doesn't sound that sure. And not only that, the Washington Post sent out a survey about healthcare for all, and she did not reply to the request. And then on CNN, she had a different stance. And so really, I think what it boils down to—
Well, wait, stop right there. We have that CNN. We have a little bit of that, because exactly what you're pointing to is that there have been other moments where Kamala Harris has had to clarify her stance on Medicare for all, and specifically the aspect of private insurance. Here is a conversation that happened on a CNN town hall that she later had to clarify. Watch.
I believe it will totally eliminate private insurance. So for people out there who like their insurance, they don't get to keep it?
Well, listen, the idea is that everyone gets access to medical care. And you don't have to go through the process of going through an insurance company, having them give you approval, going through the paperwork, all of the delay that may require. Who of us has not had that situation where you got to wait for approval and the doctor says, well, I don't know if your insurance company is going to cover this? Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on.
So you saw the question there was, will people who like their private insurance be able to keep it? And the end of her answer was, let's get rid of all of that. Let's move on as far as issues one may have with their private insurance. That's at least how it was interpreted from a lot of people. Therefore, the next day, she went back on CNN to clarify.
Well, we were together, and you'll remember, and roll the tape, please.
Yeah, we can roll the tape. Well, you support the Bernie Sanders bill, which essentially gets rid of insurance.
I support Medicare for all, but I really do need to clear up what happened on that stage.
Okay.
It was in the context of saying, let's get rid of all the bureaucracy. Let's get all of the ways.
Oh, not the insurance companies.
No, that's not what I meant. I know it was interpreted that way. If you watch the tape, I think you'll see that there are obviously many interpretations of what I said. What I meant is let's get rid of the bureaucracy. As it relates to Medicare,
gets rid of insurance.
But no, it does not get rid of insurance.
So it's confusing. And as you mentioned, the Washington Post essentially kind of like broke down the question that was asked in the debate a little bit more. So saying, will you essentially get rid of private insurance in order to have Medicare for all?
I just saw her digging in her trick bag of courtroom antics. Like honestly, I saw. What do you think?
It's I guess, I don't know if the right term is this, but legalese. You go through, one word will change the difference. And it works to a degree, because the abolish line also meant something different to me too. When I hear abolish your healthcare plan, it means not my personal one, abolish my plan for the country, right? And she's like, well, I would abolish mine, but you said mine, so I'm thinking my own, but abolish sounds, it depends on how it is. So she also makes sure not to say also from May when she's clarifying from January, to make sure to say, well, not that anyone was wrong, it was just misinterpreted or said incorrectly or what I meant. I understand you can mishear it. All these different things of not like you were wrong, I was right, this is what I meant, you didn't get it. So it's still, and it works. I'm reading it this deep into it, but I'm still going, okay, I'll give her that much. You were able to give her at least a 50% pass.
But here's the deal though, here's the deal. Why are they coming for Kamala so hard? That's a rhetorical question, because the truth is that not too many of the candidates really understand what that would entail, what the plan would entail. It hasn't thoroughly been fleshed out enough. And so if you were to ask every single candidate on that stage, Biden, Bernie, even the one who proposed it, none of them would really have answers that were that well nuanced. And so I do think that by speaking to that topic, it's an opportunity to single people out and target people, when in reality, no one really has enough information on it, and they're just using it as a buzzword to reach the voter.
So the thing is, if I have a problem with the way Kamala Harris is approaching the healthcare issue, because she said she's part of it, what Bernie's plan is, she's on for it, and that was the last clarification from May was, I'm not into abolishing private healthcare because you still need it for things like plastic surgery or elective surgeries.
Technicality that it won't.
So, but it works to a degree.
It won't 100% get rid of private health insurance, but essentially you won't need it because what
they're
it
saying that
supplements
the
is something
services,
that every American won't.
But I'm a little bit nervous though, because I'm also a member of the transgender community, and I'm also living under an administration that feels that reproductive rights and trans, therapy that we need, that they get to decide whether we get it or not, or how we get it.
They'll be deemed as elective.
Yeah, so it is kind of, there are some layers to that we do need to examine. Like, what does it mean that the federal government would have full control? What would some of those options look like? And so I think that it's definitely early to say how that would work, but I think that we do need to realize that it's not as black and white as we would.
And because it's early in the campaign process, because it's early, you have to try and make sure you appeal to all these people still. And then so that's the point of having folks in that may not think the way you do. So in having this conversation, because let's keep it real, they prepare for everything. They have pre-written lines. If I'm running for president and I'm preparing for this debate, I'm gonna have folks around me and how is this gonna affect you? Oh, okay, Southerner, how's this gonna affect you? Hey, Northern white person, how's it gonna affect you? Hey, black guy from Kentucky, how's it gonna affect you? I need everyone to know.
Campaign needs, all this money, lobbying, like that is a huge, I wouldn't expect for the private insurance industry to go without a fight.
Yeah, I get that. I think there's one sticking point for this for me is that this question, while I can understand that if it had been the first instance of this question, it could be confusing. But it was asked, same word for word, the night before, and had been widely discussed. Not only that, there were only two people the night before, Bill de Blasio and Elizabeth Warren, who did raise their hand. And they pretty clearly explained how they interpreted the question, and then it was talked about for 24 hours, which is part of the reason why it was asked again. So it's hard for me to believe that anyone at that point could be confused about the question.
Key operative
enough to raise their hand if they didn't mean it.
So here's the question.
Am I being too hard on
No, I think the key operative is conversation.
Okay.
And I think what happens, in fact, isn't that like her tagline? Like, let's have a conversation. Right. The thing is that people aren't having a conversation. It's only people like Elizabeth Warren, and I swear, like, full transparency, I'm not just saying that because I'm pro-Warren. It is that how many of these candidates are actually going into the community, not just doing meet and greets at their events, but actually sitting down and having private closed door meetings with the people who are being directly impacted by these policy proposals. And I don't think too many people are doing that. I think that they're relying on, not in a disrespectful way, the ignorance of the voter to not know what these policies or plans entail, and they're just trying to play on their emotional buy-in.
So people that are gonna get deep into it will eventually get, as you said, the general voter will think, oh, this is too deep, I'm not sure the exact nature of this. You appeal to the broader voter, especially at this stage. So I guess in trying to figure out whether someone is being manipulative or straight up lying, I always ask, what is her motivation or potential objective for being misleading? Is it accidental? It's possible. Is it a well thought out plan to confuse everyone? That's possible too. So we have to determine, I guess every person has its own, their opportunity to do it. Man, is she trying to lie to us for a reason?
Right.
Because then that's part of the political game. We talk about how Republicans always say, hey, the Democrats out to get you, they want to kill you. And it's like, calm down.
Yeah.
Like, we need to be honest about what we think their motives are.
I don't think that she's out to lie to anyone. I think she's just trying to buy time and stave off the really complex, controversial issues until she can get her strong points up. And then I really do believe that if Kamala were to be elected, I think she would revisit it. I do. Right. But I think, again, it's all about optics and people trying to save face. And so we don't need a perfect politician. We just need an honest
Do you
one.
think her in office would be against Medicare for all, or at least a good enough version of it? That's the question.
I don't know, because I'm looking at past Kamala on criminal justice issues, so maybe I'm not the fair analyst for this one. But her past shows that she typically tends to go in the direction the wind blows. However, people do change, and so I give her space for that. I definitely applaud her for at least showing up to have the conversation and clarify it, whatever that looks like.
The TYT Plus app is now available on iOS and Android. Download to get more TYT content at tyt.com/app.